I'm here with Paul Hamnet, president of Sony Ericsson North America, to talk about all the latest Sony news. I mean, just jumping right into it, you've been with Sony Ericsson for over 10 years. News just came out a little while ago that Sony proper is going to be purchasing Sony Ericsson, or buying out Ericsson basically, for $1.5 billion. Being there so long, what do you think of that deal?
We're very, very excited. We think it's great news for our partners, for our consumers. We think it gives us a real opportunity to become a major player in the North American market. We think the smartphone will become the cornerstone of a four-screen approach, strategy from Sony, where we start to integrate TV, tablet, PC and smartphone.
Sony Electronics came out with the S1, the S2, Android-based. All of Sony Ericsson phones going forward will be Android-based. Are there more synergies there for the mobile side of Sony, tablet-wise?
Well, absolutely. I mean, let's look at the tablet as just one of the screens into the cloud, into that part of our lives that we've given up into the cloud. And I don't think it's necessarily at this stage a matter of which operating system it's on. It's how well we can integrate these devices into making a fantastic consumer proposition.
There was a prototype that leaked online a while ago, and it was that a Sony Ericsson phone running Windows Phone operating system. Are you guys fully committed to Android, which is what you've released to date, or are there still possibilities of other operating systems in the fold?
Our stated goal is to be number one in Android. And so far we've made what we think is a great choice to use Android as the core of our smartphones, and 80% of the phones we sell are Android, and going forward all of our phones will be smartphones and primarily around Android. We've also always stated though that we're interested in looking at other operating systems that are valuable and can provide a great consumer experience. So, of course, we have to stay open to other systems.
You guys had a really big campaign around the Sony Ericsson Xperia Play. Yes. Really innovative handset. It basically bridged PlayStation brand hardware controls with an Android-based smartphone. There was a really big campaign around that, but I feel like it's kind of dropped off a little bit lately in terms of the message, in terms of the PlayStation suite on your mobile handsets. Is that something you guys are going to pick back up, or what is the focus there?
I think if I can just give you an indication what we think the device has done. The device has introduced a new franchise into the mobile space, integrated gaming, PlayStation certified, best-in-class gaming experience on a mobile device. And in North America for us, it's the best ranged handset we've ever had by some considerable distance. It's ranged at AT&T, it's ranged at Verizon, and it's ranged at other operators from Alaska to West Virginia and just about everywhere in between. So from that perspective, we think we've got really great distribution. We think we've got great distribution because people are genuinely interested in it as an idea. To answer your question though, is it going to go away, or how are we going to develop it? Well, what we've seen is pretty good sales. From about May, or about that time when it hit with Verizon. We've seen an uptick since AT&T has taken it, and some of the other operators are now bringing it to market. But this is the time, from now through the end of the year, where the gaming market per se really sees the best sales. And you'll see that device promoted heavily by a number of partners from now through the end of the year. It hasn't gone away, it's just about now finding its time in terms of the consumer, the timing in terms of the consumer appeal. What we don't want it to be though is just one phone that we tried in a gaming franchise. So you'll see further iterations of it going forward, and you'll also see a PlayStation certification on most of our smartphones going forward as well, because we want to provide the best gaming experience. Coming together with Sony, we really have a duty to make sure that the Sony cameras, Sony gaming experience, Sony screen technology, and just to use the hardware features, are really brought out in our devices. It's something that we are going to build on dramatically going forward. We're pretty pleased with the way it's gone so far.
So big on the holidays, and then going forward, is it just hardware, or is it also software? So will there be Sony mobile phones with PlayStation certified software games without hardware controls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's our intention to make sure that we provide a really fantastic gaming experience with or without gaming controls. Mm-hmm. And that's our intention over time. We're going to make sure the experience is good though. With the deeper integration now as a fully owned subsidiary of Sony from early next year, we're very excited about how we can make that happen.
How do you feel about, I guess, integrating more now with Sony? I know you said that it was a positive, but you know, like you're speaking to the 4-screen strategy, that has to involve TV somehow. Whether it's TV out of the phone, whether there's something else there, you know, it has to involve another piece of the puzzle with computers, with you know, music, with all of Sony's catalog. I mean, how does that whole picture come together then? It's
a really good question. It's the thing I'm most excited about. You know, I talk about 4-screen strategy and the mobile phone being the cornerstone of this. So you've got your TV and you've got your tablet PC and the mobile phone. But you know what? Before long, that's going to be table stakes as far as I'm concerned. So stopping and starting content, whichever device you're on. So I think we've got to take this much further, well beyond the smartphone. And what I mean by that is an integration of 4 pieces of hardware is something that, you know, and we're in a very early stage of this, of course, because the announcement was last week or the week before, and in the early new year, I'd love to come back here and we can have this conversation again and I can show you some stuff. If we take the 4 screens, or however many screens that is, or is going to be, layer in the artistic properties we have, so the movies, the music, the artists, and then enhance it further with cloud services, with Sony's entertainment network, and then partner properly with our distribution partners, so the operators and retailers in this country, then I think that's where I'm taking this. Right? There's several layers I think we can go down. To go well beyond the smartphone. We know some of our competitors make pretty good smartphones, but nobody has even got to that 4-screen integration. We're going to get there real quick, but then I think that's the start of the journey.
Apple has a content ecosystem, but like what you're saying, Sony not only has a content ecosystem, but you make some of the best TVs or camcorders or you know anything else. So it is an interesting kind of concept, but you're at the first stage now, you're saying.
It's exactly what I'm saying, yeah. And I'm just thinking about the example you just brought. They have a content ecosystem. We have a content ecosystem and we have content. And you know, going forward, I think that's going to make a huge difference of how we bring our products to market. Because, you know, another one of the really, really cool advantages of being a Sony branded business going forward is that whereas as Sony Ericsson, I'll give you an example. We were going to invest, as Sony Ericsson, about 3 times this year in the US what we invested last year in above the line, so in promotional advertising. But now with a 4-screen strategy and the strength of a brand where everybody recognises it, our devices are always been really cool. But then they have to be recognisable with a really good brand, and Sony still ranks number 1 or 2 when you look at purchase consideration. Would I pay more money for it? Is it high end? It's number 1 or number 2 still in all of those areas. So we bring all of that stuff together, then I think we've got a recognisable brand. Our products have always been pretty cool, and we can start to integrate 4 screens, content, artists, and then the cloud. Bring that together. When we get that right, then we're going to have a fantastic future here. And it's not really about our fantastic future, it's much more about the experience we bring to the consumer. And I think we're going to give them something they haven't even seen anywhere close yet.
Are you guys going to be big at CES? I mean, is that the launching pad, do you think, for a lot of this?
CES is always a big event for Sony and Sony Ericsson, and we always combine our efforts there every year anyway. I think the announcement of Sony buying Ericsson's share of our business is slightly too fresh for it to be the real kickoff, but you will see by CES already signs of how this integrated business can excite consumers. And that's going to improve, I think, going through the year.
All right, well, thank you so much. We're really excited to see what you guys are coming up with.
Thanks for inviting me, and as I said, it's just an evolving story. We're really excited about it, and in the early new year, maybe I'll invite myself back and we'll talk about some of the great integration work of the 2 companies.
That'd be great.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.